So, hello and welcome. My name is Tom, and I'm going to go over my assignment 4, or the final project. So for the API that I use is the YuGiOh API. We can see here that we have a lot of data that comes in with it. So we have the ID, the name, the type, frame type, and a bunch of other data about the different cards in the game. We also have images, so some cards have it, some cards don't. So we have images for the cards as well. Now let's go over the demonstration. So home page here is actually the favorites page. So as you can see, I have two favorited cards. I have the Contract of Exodia and Dust Tornado, just cards in the game. You can actually click individually them and they will come up with its individual card activity with all the different information about it. If we click the other one, you'll see that there's new information and a new card, so everything is unique. Now we can also delete it if we swipe left or right. So let's say I swipe this card left, you'll see it got deleted. And then we can also search for a card. So let's say we search and we want, let's say we want another Exodia card. So we'll search it up. Now the API will run in the background. It does take a little bit, but there you go. Let's say we want this forbidden one. So we click on this forbidden one. You can see we got a prompt, and then we have the two cards that we had. So we had this one before, and this one is new as well. I can also show the orientation. Works just fine. So everything stays the same. As well as if I click on it, you'll see that there's a new one, and also orientation stays the same. So everything is fine, just as it is. So if we go back, and then let's see, so we have two of these cards. They're both Exodia, they're named. If I close and reopen, you'll see that we still have the two cards. So we have Contract of Exodia and the Exodia Forbidden that we've added. So everything works just fine. In terms of the code, we'll go through the main activity. So we have all our listeners here at the beginning. We have the swipe feature that deletes them. We have our on resume so that when we resume the project or the application, everything works fine. Inflating the menu so that we have our menus that we added. Checking that the search menu is clicked, and then going to the search activity. And then if a card is clicked in the recycler view, we'll go to the other activity. Then we have our databases. So starting off with our databases, we do the DAO. So for inserting, getting all the cards and deleting them, as well as getting them by ID. Then we can go to our recycler view. Actually, this is the same recycler view that we always use, so I won't really go over it. We'll just skip that since we've gone over it a couple times. We have our database, so getting the DAO of the database. We can go to our database manager, which has our functions, our listeners, and then getting the data from the database of the local emulator. We have our function of inserting a new card, which is just the same I've done in the lecture. Getting all the cards is another function that we get from a database, and then deleting the card. So that goes over that. Multi-threading as well, same thing, is very simple. And then lastly, we will go now to the JSON manager and the networking, which are the two important ones. So for the JSON manager, we I'll start with the network manager. I think it makes more sense. So the network manager, we have our APIs, the two APIs that I use. So we have getting all the APIs of all the cards, and then getting a single one with its image, as you can see here. We then use these right over here, and then do the get data of them. So we obviously have to make our connection, do the inserting, kind of like a text file as we've done before, and then getting all the data and returning it. We then can look at this one, which is the get in image data, so that we can actually get the image of it. I had to use a bitmap, so that's how I inflated it with the image. And then once we have that, we can go to our JSON manager, and this is how we go from JSON to a list or a string. So as you can see, we go through the object and going through the array of the data. If you remember, at the very top here, right over here, or sorry, down right here, we have our data right over here. So we have to check inside it, which is an array object, and then we have to get the IDs of everything. So that's how we did all of this right over here. Same thing for getting a card info single card. We've gone over the main, so now individual card. So at first, you have to initialize all your text views and your image right here. Getting the IDs of them all, checking the saved instance of them. Obviously, again, add a saved instance. And then this is where I check if they're empty or not. So I do this is empty. And if it is, I'll save it as the same as it was. And if not, then the new info of the card will get input inside. And then obviously we need our network manager for the image checking as well. Lastly, we will go over the search activity. So we go through our listeners and all our initialization. We got to do our saved instance right over here. Again, saved instance state. And then our main menu, which is checking that the search bar is submitted or changed, is right over here. And then accordingly, we will open the API and check everything. This is just to update our views. So I have a view with a text file. And then we have our card clicked, which will insert our card, and then a network manager, which I've gone over. But yeah, that goes over everything for the application. So thanks for listening.